friends, happy asynchronous afternoon. So today for science, we are going to talk a little bit more about what we've been building on yesterday and on Monday. So we already started talking about things like revolutions and rotations and who's staying still while someone's moving around someone else. Let's look at the picture so we don't forget. Here we go, this is much better. So we need to remember that rotating and revolution, since they sound very similar, we have to have pictures like this to remember which one's which. So the rotation is when you're spinning in a circle. So kind of like me in my spinning chair. But a revolution is when you're going around something. So the Earth is rotating in a circle, and that's what gives us daytime and nighttime. But during the whole year, it's revolving around the sun, and that's what gives us seasons. And we talked about that, how when we face the sun, we get daytime, and when we aren't facing the sun, it's nighttime for us. And depending on how we're tilted, we either get a lot of sun or the sun's barely hitting us, and that's what's causing our seasons. Like I said, it takes one day for the Earth to spin in a circle, to spin in place, right, to rotate. And that's what gives us daytime and nighttime. But it takes a whole year for us to go around the sun. And that's why we have New Year's. On January 1st, we finished our lap around the sun. And that's what gives us seasons, because it takes a whole year for the seasons to pass. But we've been talking so much about the Earth and the sun that we've barely talked about little old moon. So the little old moon, we can see it because light is bouncing off of it. It's actually not its own star. It's just a space rock that's going around the Earth. And because of that, when the sun shines on it, it might have shadows. And that's why we might not always see it. So just like how you have a shadow or objects have a shadow happens when something or someone, there we go, something or someone gets in the way of the sun, of light. If you were to shine your flashlight right now at anything, it would make a shadow behind it. And that's because you're stopping this light from traveling. You're blocking it, and you'll make a shadow behind you. It's really fun to do shadow puppets and make little shapes with your hands. Well, you can already see I started to show you different pictures there. So the moon, we can only see one half of it. And that's because the sun is only able to fill up what we can see, the part that's facing us. But while the moon is going around the Earth and the Earth's going around the sun, we never see the back part of the moon. Why do you think that is? The moon is revolving around the Earth. The Earth is revolving around the sun, but the Earth is also rotating. Could it be that the moon is not rotating in a way that we can see its back? Ooh, that's why we're always seeing the big moon here. And we're always seeing the same half of it. If you want to Google, you can go on Google. I was Googling calendars. You can Google the other side of the moon. You can see it looks way different than the moon that we've seen. But it's always going to be in darkness because there's no sun there to shine on it. When we went to the moon, obviously it looks different to us, and we can't really just peek over the other side and look at the dark side of the moon. So that's something that'll be really difficult to capture on picture or video. But while we have the moon is going around the Earth and it's bouncing the sun's light off on it. So that way we have a little bit more light during the nighttime. But when the Earth gets in the way of the sun, it can be a little harder to see the moon. And that's why we have shadows on the moon. Just like the shadows that you make or objects make, or maybe you make with your finger puppets, the moon, when the sun shines on it, it's nice and bright. But when the Earth gets in the way of the moon, we start to see only little slivers of it, or maybe what looks like half of it, or maybe we don't see it at all. There's parts of the month where you might not see the moon at all. And that's because there's no sun shining on it. The earth is in the way. Normally, the sun is shining on it, but while it's spinning, if it gets in the way or behind the earth and it blocks it, eventually it'll have so little light that we won't see it at all. And that actually happened to us. Here's January's calendar. When we first started learning about science and the sky, the daytime sky, nighttime sky, earth, moon, sun, we couldn't see the moon out. But I remember some of you went out and pointed out to your parents, there's the moon, there's the moon. They said, I don't see it. You said, that's because it's a new moon. Even though we can't see it, it's still there. It's not going anywhere. It doesn't go to sleep or anything. It doesn't disappear and just start over from scratch. It's still a full moon, but then slowly, as we get more and more sunlight shining on it and the earth moves out of the way, we can see more of the sun. Oh, look at that. Today is January 28th. So it looks like the moon's going to be full tonight. That's perfect. Today, what I want you to do as your little activity is I want you to do a weather forecast. Every day we do a weather forecast where we say if it's cloudy, or if we say if it's snowing or raining, and we say what the temperature's like. And I want you to do that tonight as if you were my student helper. When it gets dark out, either this afternoon or tonight before you go to bed, I want you to head out or find a window and give a weather forecast just like we do in class. Because the moon should be nice and full and bright tonight, I want you to tell us not only what the weather's like, but if you can see the moon. If, like in this little GIF, you can't see the moon too well, I want you to tell us why. What's stopping you from seeing the moon 100%? Because it should be nice and full by now. You can come down here and record a response. It'll either say it like this, or it'll have the big plus sign for you. And I want you to do that today to tell us what the weather is like by you, as if you were doing it in class with us. Well, my first graders, that was a lot of knowledge, but we've learned now that it's not just the earth who's rotating or revolving. Well, the earth is revolving around the sun. The moon is revolving around the earth. And it's not actually a glowing rock. It's not a star. It's a rock that's getting the sun's light shining on it, just like if the lights were a flashlight shining on the moon there. All right, friends, I want you to do your flip grid either this afternoon or tonight, and I can't wait to watch them. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.